Good evening, guys. I believe I am audible. Even if not all of you have joined, but then anyhow, let's start. They can join as they whenever they enter, and this is officially the second class. First class we just had a brief introduction, and I believe though this is the first class for there are some people who joined late, right? So hold on. How should we take attendance? I hope the all the names here are your official names. So because it's just gonna take a lot of time taking attendance. I'm just going to take a screenshot. I believe these are all your official names. K Lobo, can you tell me your is this your can you tell me your is this your real name? I mean your official name? Hello, can you hear me? Can someone confirm if I'm audible or not?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
I'm here.
Okay. Okay. All right. So the K Lobo is who is this person named K Lobo? Anyhow, I'll take attendance again at the end of hopefully it's not going to be a boring class. So just pay attention. It wouldn't take too long, all right? There are 51 slides, but it is a very short presentation. So today we are going to learn about the principles of design, all right? Let's just wait till 7 people are still entering. We'll wait till 7:05. All right, please stay alert. We'll start exactly at 7:05. Let more people enter because right now there's roughly 20 around 23 24-ish. If your environment is quiet, you can unmute yourself, all right? Because it tends to get very, monotonous, and I don't know whether I'm losing my connection or this or that. So if your environment is quiet enough, you can unmute yourself, or you can speak up at any time during the presentation if you have any doubt, or if I'm not audible, or if you are having any issue, you can always speak up. Feel free, all right? Because this is already college. It's not like the typical, school teaching kind of situation. So it can always be as interactive as we can make it, all right? So we'll start exactly at 7:05. Okay, to make sure you're alert and listening, we'll still take the attendance quick. All right. I'll call your name. Just tell your roll number. All right. Anchal,
Yes, ma'am.
roll number.
Ma'am, actually, we didn't get the roll number.
Is that right? All right. Okay. Anyhow, let me just check whether all of you are present, alert or not. Ashmita Shil, David Lal Lom Sang Zola,
Present, miss.
K Lobo. What's up with K Lobo? He's present, but he hasn't. K Lobo, if you can hear me, you can unmute yourself because if you're not responsive, you are considered absent. All right. Lal Ompuya,
Present, Miss.
Lal Ompuyi,
Present, Miss.
Lal Dan Chai,
Present, miss.
Lal Lom Kimi, Lal Lom Kimi Chen Kwal. Are you here?
Present miss. Present miss.
Okay. Lal Nun Puyi Patswao,
Present, Miss.
Lal Rem Sang Isyak Eng, Lal Ramsangi.
Present, Miss.
Lal Siam Tluanga.
Present, Miss.
Lal Thansanga.
Present, Miss.
Mary Lal Ompui.
Present, Miss.
Nari Dui.
Present, ma'am.
Pratik.
Present, Miss.
Rosang Liani. Sangi Silo. Can you tell me your full name?
Larin Sangi.
Okay. Sanjana.
Present, Miss.
Somak.
Present, ma'am.
Shrihita. Shrihita is, am I pronouncing it right? Shrihita?
Yes, ma'am. Present,
Okay.
ma'am.
Tela Mekala. Tela
Pradeep. Pradeep, ma'am. Present, ma'am.
All right. Vanlal du Omavarte.
Present, Miss.
Wasim.
Present, Miss.
Okay. So there are 23 of you, except K Lobo. Who is this K Lobo? Are you here? Okay, anyhow, I will consider him absent unless he responds. All right. So today we will learn, you can see the screen, right? So today we will be learning about the principles of design. All right. And this is not just like, since, you know, the subject itself is called basic design, right? So this can be applied not just in architecture, but in any kind of design, be it graphic design, be it an automobile design, you know, which you can pursue later on after you finish your degree, or, you know, in any, for me personally, I do graphic design on the side, so these principles have helped me a lot. All right, so it's not just for architecture, but it's for any kind of design for that matter, even fashion design, you could say. So these principles can be applied in any kind of design, in interior design, in all the spheres. So these are important. So there are 7 principles, which is balance, rhythm, emphasis, contrast, movement, harmony, and then last we have proportion and scale. We will describe each principle one by one as we go along. All right. Tell me when I tend to speak very fast, so you can always tell me, okay, if you're not getting it, if I speak way too fast. All right, so let's move ahead. So first, we are going to talk about balance. When we talk about balance, it's a sense of equilibrium. Equilibrium, you know, you've already learned that in physics, or you know what is equilibrium. When David, can you read whatever is there on the slide? David, loud and clear. Okay, he has left the meeting. Okay, David, can you hear me? Okay, can you read it as loud and clear?
Principles of design, balance, a sense of equilibrium. When establishing balance, consider visual weight created by size, color, texture, and number of objects. Balance is the concept of visual equilibrium and relates to our physical sense of balance. It is a reconciliation of opposing forces in a composition that results in visual stability. Most successful compositions achieve balance in one of 2 ways, symmetrically or asymmetrically.
Okay, thank you, David. So basically, when we talk about balance in terms of design, we are talking about the visual aspect of it, all right? Not the, it's not talking about an iron or a cotton, all right? Because those are literally, you know, they are actually literally different, a lot of difference in the weight, right? So that is the physical, the physical weight we are talking about. But here in design, we are learning about the visual weight. All right, when we look at something, is there a sense of balance in it? You know, just the looks, the feel, the psychological aspect of it. All right, so that is what we are talking about, not about the actual physical weight. All right, we are, when, because here it says Balance, when establishing balance, consider visual weight. Visual, you all know what that is. Visual is the looks of it. It could be in terms of the size, it could be in terms of the color or the texture or the number of objects. All right, so when we talk about this, it talks about color and all that, right? The darker color tends to, psychologically, the darker color tends to look heavier, tends to feel heavier when we look at it. It's yeah, that is a psychological aspect. And even by size, you know, like whatever something is larger, naturally we assume that that is heavier than, you know, the something which is smaller. Or maybe in terms of texture, for supposing we have two circles. One circle has maybe cotton filled, like say one circle may be white, and the other circle which are of the same, just imagine, consider those two circles to be of the same size. All right, so for example, if one circle has a white color and a plain white color, and the other circle has some stone texture, you know, right? So naturally we tend to feel the visual weight of it, thinking that the one or believing that the one with the stone texture is heavier than the one with the white color on it. All right. What is texture? Can someone explain to me what is? I know you've heard of this word since long ago and you kind of know what it is. Can someone explain to me what texture is? What is a texture? Unless someone speak up, I'm just gonna call someone randomly. Mary Lil Ompui, can you explain to me what is a texture? Or if you do not know how to explain, you can just say, I do not know, or this. You can just explain it in simple words, all right? This is not an English class, so you can explain it however you know how to, all right? Okay.
Texture is the feel of a surface or the grain it has or the pattern.
Okay. I think that's a good explanation. Sanjana, can you tell me the difference between a texture and a pattern? We all know what is pattern as well. So pattern and textures are some things which are different, but which are always confused between. So can you do you know what is the difference between a texture and a pattern? Sanjana, you
Yes, miss.
maybe, yeah, can you explain it? It's just a discussion, okay? It doesn't carry marks. You can just explain it however you know.
A pattern is like we can only see the I don't know how to explain.
Okay, fair. But I can tell that the way you started your explanation, you do understand it. All right. But let me also mention that to all of you in design, when you are going to become an architect, a designer, so you always have to know how to express yourself. All right. Usually we express ourselves through drawings, but we are dealing with other humans, right? So sometimes we have to speak, we have to learn how to express. All right, whatever, what we feel or what we think is right or what we think is a better solution. Can anyone else explain the difference between a texture and a pattern?
Ma'am, can I?
This is Shreya. Yes, Shreya.
So basically, a pattern is like visual element that is like repeated. For example, strips, lines, etc. And a structure is like which can be felt on a surface, like on bricks or a or etc. Thank you.
Okay. I think that's also a good explanation. Everyone should listen. All right. So basically, we can say that a texture also has a pattern. All right, but it's not a flat surface. It's something we can feel. We can feel the difference. We can feel the grooves. We can feel the roughness of the surface when we talk about texture. But when we talk about pattern, it's just a visual. There's nothing that can be felt on there's no difference in the feeling when we touch that surface. All right. Anyhow, I know that you all know what is the difference between that and that. So basically, like, over time you have to learn to express and explain yourself. All right. So as it says here in the last sentence, the most successful composition, we call it a composition because art is a composition. All right. Even a painting is a composition of different elements, of different lines, different strokes of lines. Even and just like that, even in architecture, it's a composition, right, of a wall, of a window, of the way you put your railings, the way you put, like, your wall claddings. It's basically a composition because it's composed of many elements, right, in a building. So you can say, it's a composition of a brick wall plus glass plus steel plus stone, whatever that is. So we call it a composition. All right. So most successful compositions achieve balance. These principles of design are the things which, if you follow that, it'll help you. All right. It's like a guide towards your perfecting your design, you could say that. So like I said, we call it composition because of that. I believe that is clear. So we can achieve a successful composition in one of two ways, that is symmetrically or asymmetrically. Please listen carefully, all right, because you're going to have an assignment after this. Okay. Wasim, can you read the slide, please, loud and clear?
The principle of design, balance. Symmetrical balance can be described as having equal weight on equal sides of a currently on a centrally placed fulcrum. It may also be referred to as a formal balance. When the elements are arranged equally on either side of a central axis, the result is bilateral symmetry. This axis may be horizontal or vertical. It is also possible to build a formal balance by arranging elements equally around a central point, resulting in radial symmetry. This is called radial balance.
Okay, thank you, Wasim. So symmetry, we all know what is symmetry, right? Whatever is on the left side is exactly the same on the right side. So naturally, obviously, we attain balance in that because visually as well, both sides are equal, right? So, for example, the Taj Mahal is a design with a symmetrical balance because if you imagine an axis, a vertical axis right in the center, then we have both elements on the two sides very exactly similar, right? The way the minarets are kept, even the dome, if you cut it right in the center, it's all symmetrical, right? So those are the kind of architecture or an art form that has a symmetrical balance. All right. So when we put exact equal weight on both sides, on the two sides of an imaginary line that is cut across the center vertically or even horizontally, then that is called a symmetrical balance. All right. So, and radial balance, the picture on the bottom right corner is an example of a radial balance. Everything is balanced. If you cut the axis across anywhere, like, in any x, y, or any direction, then you have the same visual looks, right? So that is a radial balance. Okay, basically. So this is a subset of a symmetrical balance. All right. I believe everyone is clear about symmetrical balance. Here we have a picture of a butterfly. Most of the things that we see in nature, other than the mountains and like all the living beings, like even the birds, a crab, for example, they all have symmetrical balance. All right, so symmetrical balance is one of the principle which helps us achieve a good composition. All right. So like I said, in the building, even churches, usually churches and even other religious buildings usually have a symmetrical balance as well. All right. See, we've talked about the Taj Mahal. And what is the one in the picture in the middle? Since you're going to be all architects, what picture is this? What building is this? Okay. Okay, so this is perfectly symmetrically balanced, right? So this as well, and even the one on the last the last picture, even this has a symmetrical balance sort of an arrangement. All right. So, and like I said, this can be applied anywhere, even if you're doing a logo design or a vehicle design, everything. All right. So symmetrical balance is easy, right? So this is a radial balance. We see pictures of even flowers and even staircases, and even the first picture is a ceiling plan, reflected ceiling plan of a dome. So even that has a radial balance, and it's very appealing to the eye. All right. So these are so all these come under symmetrical balance, because you already know what is the example of a symmetrical of symmetrical balance. And these are called as near symmetry or inverted symmetry. So this you can inverted symmetry, inverted, you already know what is, right? This is upside down. It is basically the mirror image of the of the thing that we see on the upper side, right? It's basically a mirror image. So it's so those are called as near symmetry or inverted symmetry. The mirror image, the horizontal. See, this is horizontal, right? So or these are called as near symmetry and inverted or an inverted symmetry. All right. So basically, it's like you can see the king card right there, right? So if it was a normal, like a typical symmetry, if we term it as a proper symmetrical balance, it wouldn't be a mirror image. The king on the lower side would be facing the same side, so that'll be the normal symmetrical balance. All right, we call it near symmetry or inverted symmetry because it's the mirror image which is flipped downside. All right, so these are called as near symmetry and inverted symmetry. All right. I think that is clear enough. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
theoretically, you're not going to have to. I'll share you the presentation, but theoretically, you're not going to have to do this in exams. Basically, that you have to understand it. So, because you are going to have assignments and, all those kind of works, all right? So, I just wanted to tell you, even though we have class at an odd hour tonight, because yesterday was some sort of a holiday, so try to be on time, all right? There are people still entering. So next class, try to be on time. All right, because you have missed whatever is being discussed till now. I believe up till here it is clear. We can move ahead. Like I said, feel free to speak up. Okay, I cannot see you. You can speak up. All right. So because if no one is saying anything, I'm just going to assume that everyone understands whatever has been discussed. All right. So I'm going to move ahead. Asymmetrical. Ashmita, can you read this slide, please? Okay, thank you, Ashmita. So there's another, it's like this is the tricky one, but this is the, um, I believe this is the magic of, the one of the magic of the principles of design. All right. So I think asymmetrical balance is one of the most important principle where if you can ace this asymmetrical balance, it will help you a lot, all right, in terms of your design, in terms of the looks, in terms of the visual features. So asymmetrical balance, even though she's read it out, let's take out the sentence one by one. It's also called as informal balance. It is more complex and difficult to achieve because obviously symmetrical balance is basically just copying whatever is there on the other side to have the weight equally. But asymmetrical balance, as you can see in the picture, for example, the one with the man, like we have a seesaw, right? So there's a one big man on one side, and then there are two small, like kids kit-like features on the other side, right? So even though this is not symmetrical, we still have a visual balance. We still have they are asymmetrical, all right, but we still have the balance over there because of the you can because even though one side is just one unit, and because of the size it's bigger, right? But we have two smaller features, design features on the other sides to balance that, right? So all these are termed as asymmetrical balance, all right? So even in the rock that we see on the bottom, there is one big rock on the left side, and then there are four smaller flatter rocks on the right side. So this is just a hypothetical representation of asymmetrical balance, but I believe you can understand the whatever we are explaining through this picture. All right, so let's look at other pictures. For example, hold on. Yeah, you can see my mouse cursor. Let's look at this image over here on the left bottom corner. So over here, we have a picture which is not symmetrical at all, right? So, but we still have a visual balance because then the amount of white that is there, the amount of white and black that is there on the left side is more or less, maybe say 98% equal to the amount of white and black that is there on the other side. So we still have so neither of the picture on the left side nor the right side is looking heavier, is psychologically feeling heavier than the other. So that is why we are having an asymmetrical balance sort of a feature over here. All right, so even if we look at this picture over here we have seesaw is just a representation, all right, a way to explain. We have this square block over here which is dark red in color. Like I've told you before, the darker color tends to look heavier, all right? And then we have a small light balls which sort of represent, you can somehow, I believe to some of you it kind of look like bubbles, and we some things we can relate to nature, right? So they directly feel very light, so we can assume that they are more or less, visually we make this conclusion saying that they are more or less balanced because there are a lot of this circles on the right side. So all these are asymmetrical balance, all right? There are some more pictures and I believe you can understand more on this, all right? So even in the, for example, this is a composition of this different vase, all right? So even though, for example, imagine an imaginary line right across the central axis, all right? So the one on the left is neither too heavy or light, same as the one on the other side. So we still have this visual comfort when we look at it, all right? Even when we look at the placement of art, for example, this one above the fireplace that we can see over here, again, if we draw an imaginary line right across the central the vertical central axis, we see that even though there are 4 paintings on the left side and then there are 2 paintings on the right side, the one on the right side have this larger frame, and it is also accessorized with a pot over here, with a flower pot, with a plant pot, whatever it is over here. So that is why it is giving us that visual balance. I know I'm talking somewhat in a psychological sense, so try to understand what I'm saying, okay? So because these are not actually factual, we can say that these are very psychological, all right, or maybe sometimes philosophical. So you understood, right? So even so, when we look at it, so if, for example, if the pot was placed on this side, we would feel some sort of imbalance over there. Just imagine this pot being on the left side, right? So you can feel some sort of imbalance in the visual look of it, all right? Same goes in this same goes in this building as well. Even though, for example, look at not just at the building, but look at the picture as a whole. In these 2 pictures that we are having in the middle, in the bottom, sorry. So For example, we cut this axis. Even like, see, this applies in photography as well. All right, whenever you take nowadays, I know kids your age are very much into photography of places, of food, or and all this can be applied onto photography as well, the frame you capture. All right, so for example, whenever you take a picture, think about your central axis. All right, and think about the left and the right, whatever elements you imagine you imagine an imaginary line right in the middle, and then think about the left and the right and the equal and the weight and the visual weight that they carry. All right, so there is more sky that is left on this side because this side has lesser built form, right? This side has lesser built form. That is why this picture is taken in such a way that the sky is larger on this side, which makes it more appealing to the eye generally. All right, even in this picture that we have over here, cut a line again in the middle, and then even though this is shorter, yes,
Who gets to decide what is appealing to the eye?
there is a general notion. All right, there is really no, we all have it's a very good question actually. Who was that? David? Who was that who just spoke up? I need
Yeah, me.
Okay, David. So there's nothing like who gets to decide, but there's this general notion. All right, there's a general notion of what may be for example, if you're for example, imagine your living room. All right, and imagine your living room painted as bright red. All right, so how would people feel? Just tell me, I mean, what do you think?
It would feel really weird.
Yeah. Why would it feel really weird?
Because red, I think, it carries a lot of weight. Like, red is.
See, there are color psychology as well. All right, let me just explain a little more. There's color psychology as well. Do you know what red makes you feel? These are actually proven psychological facts. All right, the red color, what does it, like, other than love? All right, what does it remind you of? Like, do you know in design, why is, okay, like, let me ask you an interesting question. Why is KFC, McDonald's, all this, why are they mostly red?
To make us feel more hungry.
Okay. Any other
More vibrant and attractive.
vibrant and attractive? All right. Okay. Is yellow is also vibrant and attractive, right? So is red the only one? I mean,
red is the most sensitive color, right?
Yeah. So why do we have to be sensitive to eat a burger?
I mean, it takes our eye. Like, I mean, it
catches our eye.
Yeah, it catches our eye.
Okay, so then what about this shops, like fashion, shops, and why are these not painted red then? Because we still want customers. Why are not all the shops red? Why do only KFC and McDonald's find out that, okay, red is very appealing? So all the fashion industry, all the grocery stores, why don't they? I mean, is it because they do not know, or do you have any theories? Let's just have a discussion. This is interesting.
To highlight their products.
To highlight their products in a cloth shop, in a shoes shop. I still want to highlight my products. Why is it not red? See, most of the other branded, say, showrooms, even, say, for example, something famous and common would be Adidas. Why is Adidas not red? It's black. They still want to sell their products. They still want, like, why don't they have, red showcases? Mostly it's black and white, right? The theme.
Pleasant.
So why so KFC, you don't want it to be pleasant? No, I mean, anyways, so anyhow, okay. So basically it's red because it's a psychological proven fact that red makes you actually red is vibrant. That is correct. All right, firstly, but the main reason is because it's a fast food restaurant, right? And red, it
creates a craving.
No, actually it actually makes you hurry, red gives you a sense of rush, all right, psychologically. When it's so, usually they want to attract. So one thing you said is correct. They want to attract. Red is very attractive. It catches the eye, right? So the other thing is, when there's a red color around you, it gives you a sense of rush, all right? It's not like you're gonna feel it like, so abruptly, but it's a very subtle feeling that it gives out. Red color, it gives you a sense of rush. That is actually the logic behind, the fact that KFCs and McDonald's are usually, always painted red, because
But Miss,
they want
red,
people to come and go.
but Miss,
Yes,
red
yes.
also means stop, right? Like
Red also means
stop.
stoplight.
Yeah, they use red for stoplights.
Yeah,
So
it's also
rush
for
and
alert.
act
It's
and
also for alert as well, right? So for example, okay, that is a good point that you're raising, but that is out of context for like right now. All
yeah,
right,
yeah.
because we are just talking about the Russian. Red is also an alert sign, like you said. It catches the eye particularly, and red usually is a warning sign, or um even we call it the red zone area, right? All these dangerous places, we call it the red zone. All those are also there. But we have to, like in design, that's why context is very important, right? Right now, we're just talking about we're just taking an example of a restaurant, all right? So whatever at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say, let's not divert so much. We have around some 40 slides left. Whatever, my point is, anyhow, we will understand all this as we go along, all right, with the rest of the class in the semester. um, so the basic point is, there's a general notion of what is appealing to the eye, and like, maybe my neighbor painted his house green because he likes it, right? And maybe I painted my house white because I like it. And so there's nothing like which is better, or which is not good, or which is like, there's nothing like that. But the general, like factually, because we are talking about, again, the psychological aspects of it, all right? So, and asymmetrical balance also, we're not talking about color. We're not saying that this we're not saying that blue is better than green, or we're never saying that so this is the tricky part of it. Try to we will go along with the slide, and we can have the rest of the discussion at the end of the class. We are never going to pick between colors or elements or textures. We are not going to say that stone texture is better than gray marble texture. All right, so we are talking about this the general visual um, 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 i- implementation, we can say that. All right, so anyhow, okay, we can discuss that again at the end of the. It's a good question you're raising. I think it's a very valid question you're raising, though, David. All right, so anyhow, where were we? So we were talking about this picture as well. So even again, this is in terms of photography. All right, so for example, this picture that we have over here, if we have a central axis over here, we have more sky here, but the solid part, the the main object is taller here, and the main object is here. Over here, it is what do you say? It is shorter, but we have, the moon and the trees to balance whatever is there on the left side. All right, so this is called the asymmetrical balance. And what I also would like to mention, somewhat regarding to David's question also, is that there's really nothing wrong in design. All right, no one's going to say that that is wrong, unless it's for the technical part of it. I'm talking about the aesthetic part, all right, the looks part. There's nothing wrong or right in the looks, right? If it serves its purpose. If someone wears a dress, and if it covers whatever it has to cover, then there's nothing really wrong or right in her wearing that dress. All right, so it's just basically what is appealing, what is all that. We will go along, we will explain as we go along. All right, so let's move. So this is the balance using texture. We've already talked about texture, and I think we've discussed the asymmetrical balance. Hold on, okay, just give me a second. Okay, so this is the balance we are trying to achieve using texture as well. This is the balance we are trying to create using colors. We all know about complementary colors. We will learn about it in the maybe next class. We will learn about colors. We know about the primary colors and all that. And we know about, everyone knows about the color wheel, right? Color wheel.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you can read up on color wheel, okay, all of you. So again, that is there's this color wheel, and then do we know that the colors which are opposite to each other on the color wheel are complementary colors? Do we know that? So David, no one necessarily decides that, but it's like a principle, it's like a basic idea that is there to guide you. All right, for example, what do you think looks good with maybe we all have our particular sense of what is appealing, all right, we all have our fashion sense, but we are talking about the general sense of beauty, general sense of balance, all right? So anyhow, we will learn about colors in the next class, all right? So again, these are balance using shapes. We are just looking at different pictures. You already know, you can look at it further, okay? I will share this presentation with you at the end of the class, and then you can read further, and then you can maybe find problems or some things that you do not understand, and then that can be discussed again, because I wanted to finish this by 8. But anyhow, I believe you all have some more time left if we go beyond 8. So let's move to the next one. All right. Pratik, can you read? Has Pratik? He hasn't read yet, right? Pratik, can you read what's there on the slide?
Yes, ma'am. Principles of design. Rhythm, a visual tempo or beat. The principle of design that refers to a regular repetition of elements of art to produce the look and feel of movement. It is often achieved through the careful placement of repeated components which invite the viewer's eye to jump rapidly or glide smoothly from one to the next. Rhythm in architecture is the repetitive use of group of visual elements at least 3 times to establish a recognizable pattern.
Okay, thank you, Pratik. Can someone explain to me what rhythm is? You all know the word, I believe. So in simple language, can you explain what is rhythm? We all know what is rhythm, right? Who is into music? There would be someone who is into music. In music has a rhythm, right? But what is that rhythm? Someone who knows how to play the guitar or the piano or even the drums or whatever kind of music instrument. Can you explain it to me in your context? David,
Ma'am,
do you
it's
play
like
any instrument? Yeah. Who's this?
ma'am, it's like
Shahid.
a regular pattern of event.
Regular pattern or movement. Okay, fair. Okay, in terms of music, can someone explain? Because rhythm, like whatever, when we talk about rhythm, we usually think of music. All right, so can someone explain to me rhythm in terms of music? Is there?
Miss, I think it's the way things move, like
Mm-hmm.
it's like the way things move from one thing to another, like from
Okay.
one key, from one note, one chord to another chord.
Okay,
Like
do you play any instrument, David?
I play the guitar, but not very nice.
Okay. Anyhow, whatever. Tella, Tella. What can we have a nickname, please? Your name has many syllables. Tella. Can we call you Tella or Mekala or Pradeep? Tella Mekala. Can I call you Pradeep? Okay. Anyhow, I can't hear him anymore. Anyways, so yeah, basically, let's just read this again. A visual tempo or beat. The principle of design that refers to a regular repetition of elements or art to produce the look and feel of movement. It is often achieved through the careful placement of repeated components which invite the viewer's eye to jump rapidly or glide smoothly from one to the next. I think David had a good, simple explanation. So usually a song is, I'm talking about, I'm using a song as an example because rhythm is very much related to music as well. Because I think when we look at rhythm, the thing we think of first is music. So it's kind of like usually a song has mostly three, one main chord and like three, like say three chords, right? If you play music, you would know what I mean. Anyhow, so we keep on using that same three chords, which are sort of arranged in a maybe different pattern depending on the song, depending on the tune of the song, right? So that is rhythm. It's the repetition of like, I think this picture itself is a very good example of rhythm. It has a flow, right? And just because this is organic, I'm not talking about just the organic. When I say organic, do you know what I mean? What do you mean when I say organic?
Life.
Okay. Okay. Or what would you what would okay, life is very much something organic, but what is an organic shape? You're gonna use this term a lot in your upcoming years, semesters. What would be an organic shape?
Well, it's basically the shapes we get from nature, from living things.
Okay, okay. So usually in nature we do not have perfect straight lines. What in nature is anything in nature with a perfect straight line? Usually no, right? Generally. So basically, yeah, organic shape would be, you all know the amoeba, right? We've all drawn it in our class 7 or 8, right? The shape of the amoeba. That is a very good example of an organic shape, because nature really does not have any fine line, right? Like a 90-degree line or something um, which is perfectly perpendicular or this or that. So all these irregular shapes are termed as organic shape, the one with smooth curves, all right, with no angles. Like for example, we see the picture over there. It has this curve, sort of a flow, right? So those are called organic shapes, all right? So it's basically a repetition. I think the second one is the second line explains it a lot better. So rhythm in architecture is a repetitive use of a group of visual elements, so at least 3 times, to establish a recognizable pattern. All right. So for example, if you put two, like for example in this picture we can see somewhat like, say, some 4 balconies, right? Just focus on that 4 balconies. All right. So it's called a rhythm when there is more, when there is 3 or more. All right. If there's just 2 of that, you can't call it a rhythm. So a rhythm is supposed to have at least 3 repeated element. All right. So it has to be at least 3, because when you just make 2, it wouldn't be you cannot call it a pattern yet. So the moment it becomes 3, then it becomes a pattern. All right. In architecture. All right. So a flow which is there, which is at least done in the same way more than 2 times, that is called a rhythm in architecture. All right. Is it clear, or do we still need more explanation? Because like I said, I'm going to give you an assignment. I'm going to it's not going to be a tough assignment. You're just going to have to click pictures. Like in this presentation, we all have pictures to support whatever is being discussed, right? So just in the same way, we are going to have an assignment where you click pictures for all the principles of design. You're going to click pictures in and around your house, or maybe outside. If you go outside, then you can click a picture of something that you see which has that particular principle of design applied on. Yeah, I think someone wants to say something. Okay, anyways, so okay, so it's good that you understand. It's good that you understand it. All right. So anyways, rhythm is divided again into five sub headings. All right. We have rhythm by repetition, rhythm by gradation, rhythm by radiation, rhythm by opposition, and rhythm by transition. All right. So let's just look at this again one by one. So rhythm. So Rosang, Liani, can you read the slide for me, please?
Reading by repetition. Reading created by duplicating, repeating shapes, colors, pattern, lines, texture, repeated window panes, repeat stripe on wall and design and color of glass.
Okay, so as we see in the picture, it's repetition. It's basically repeating whatever is already there, in this horizontal pattern. All right, in this or a vertical or in a vertical flow. So we are just duplicating and repeating, the shapes, if, like of these windows. All these windows are more or less same, right? And it's, see, we keep on repeating this, and it's more than 2 times. So like we said, if we look at the picture, only these 2 windows, and we have got a wall here, it's not called as a rhythm. All right, since there are more than 2, which is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that we can see in the picture, it comes under the rhythm. All right, and since we keep on repeating it, simply put, we keep on repeating it, then it's called the you can even see the placement of this window frame, the window subframe over here, right? It's all what is that word? It's all interchanged. Here it's on the top, here it's in the bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, like that. All right, so this is a rhythm by repetition. All right, the repeated use, repeating a continuous pattern through the space to create a sense of stability. So the way these windows are being replicated, they are alternated, replicated, alternated, replicated. So this is a rhythm by repetition. All right, so again, it's a repetition of the same elements. Gradation. Duoma, Vanel Duoma, can you please read this slide?
Rhythm created by gradual change in size or color. Carpet on the floor changes gradually in value. Gradation in light below.
Below. And lowest, the explanation of this gradation on the bottom.
Using a step-by-step sense of progression to move the eye from one end of the space to the other.
Okay. Okay. So gradual. We know what is gradual, right? Gradual. It is a slow progression. All right. Gradual. You can say that it is a slow progression. Like for example, there's pink, and if you know painting, you would I think, yeah, if you are good in painting, you all know this. So pink, if you keep on adding red to it, eventually it can become red, right? So if you put pink and red together, that's not a gradation. But if you keep on increasing the red in the pink, that like we see in this carpet over here, like we have the blue, and then it becomes darker and darker until it becomes the dark blue at the end, right? So this is rhythm by gradation. We are still having a sense of flow, and like I told you, it has to be at least 3 times to call it a rhythm. All right, so it has to be done at least 3 times. So if we just have 2 of the colors over there, like the 2 colors which are next to each other, that's not called a rhythm. All right, but since we have different more than 2 shades of blue, which is arranged in a step-by-step progression, and that's why and how we call it gradation. All right, a slow progression. So it could be in terms of shape, it could be in terms of colors. All right, so this is not below. Okay, so it's below. So that is a spelling mistake. All right, anyway, so you understand gradation, right? Rhythm by gradation. It is a slow change. For example, white, and then it becomes more gray, and then it becomes even darker gray, and eventually it becomes black at the end. So that is called as gradation. All right.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, how is the other picture set as gradation, ma'am?
the gradation of lights. Actually, this is um, the way it's actually based on the shape, and this is a black and white picture. Okay, technically this is these are more covered, all right, the ones below, so it is darker. All right, I don't know if it's, maybe it's not clear in the in my screen that I'm presenting, but anyhow, so the lights below are darker and it becomes lighter at the top. All right, I have a feeling maybe it doesn't show that in the presentation, but I can share you the presentation. So it's darker towards the end, all right, and it's lighter at above. It becomes lighter and lighter, all right, the color, the intensity of the light. All right, does that explain your question? Okay, so that is how you create this rhythm by gradation. Okay, and let's just move ahead. Radiation can Sagi Silo, can you read this?
Yes, ma'am. Rhythm by radiation. Rhythm created by identical objects coming from a central axis. The glass frames radiate from the center of the path. The floor design, the windows, furniture, etc. in the radial rhythm. Radiation. When several design elements come together to form a balanced rotation around the center object.
So we can say that this is more or less equal, same as the radial symmetry, right? In a way, but radial symmetry is always perfectly perfectly symmetrical on all the axes. For example, the glass tube that we see on the left side, even though in the perspective picture that we see over here, even though it's like, you know, there's this like think about the middle point, the focus point, the middle central point over there, it's coming out gradually, it's coming out, right? We can see that like it's arranged around this particular, it looks like it's created around this particular central axis. Then it is also called as rhythm by radiation. All right, so, and it is again a subset of what is that, radial symmetry. But radial symmetry is perfectly symmetrical, like circularly. All right, it's perfectly radially symmetrical. But in this particular rhythm by radiation, it's not necessarily perfectly symmetrical around the central axis in a radial pattern. All right, am I making it confusing? Do we know the difference between the radial symmetry and the rhythm by radiation? Okay, I believe we do. So let me just explain it once more. In radial, we've learned about radial symmetry at the beginning, right? Radial symmetry is consider some circular design, like a doodle or some rangoli maybe. So for example, in that, we usually, what we design is we do a central point, and all the concentric circles which are coming out, imaginary concentric circles which are coming out, are all similar radially. All right, but in rhythm by radiation, it's not necessarily symmetrical radially, but it does come out from a central axis. All right, okay, I believe you believe that's understood. I'm gonna move ahead. You can do as even a study of yourself. All right, but or if you are like, you know, not comfortable asking me, but you have to be. All right, like we said, like I said, let's make this more interactive. Let's make it more like a discussion. All right. Again, this is radiation. The way this small lines coming out of this central part. So for example, in this leaf picture, if it was a radial symmetry, then it would be a circular leaf. All right, and it will be equally divided on all the parts. All right, so that will be a radial symmetry, but we call this rhythm by radiation because this is coming out and it's not necessarily perfectly circular. All right, so again, this doodle, and then this is, but this one is also an example, the last picture. So they are related to each other basically. This is also rhythm by radiation. It is also rhythm radial symmetry. All right, the last picture that we see here is both an example of rhythm by radiation as well as radial symmetry. All right. Shoma, can you read this slide, please? Shoma, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I was just connecting my earphones.
Okay.
Principles of design, rhythm by opposition. Rhythm created direct placement of lines, shapes, or color to create opposition through abrupt visual change, contrasting black and white tiles and the lines intersecting at right angles.
Okay. So when we say opposition, we mean that things are opposite, right? So usually we think that the opposite of white is black, right? And so when we make use of that, then we call it a rhythm by opposition. When we make use of that and create a pattern, all right, then we call it as a rhythm by opposition. All right. So for example, just imagine a park. All right, and imagine a park, and then there are green grass, and then stone, and then green grass, and then stone. So that is also a rhythm by opposition. All right, because the green is considered as a soft element in the landscape architecture. All right, and stone is considered as a hard landscape element. So soft and hard are opposite, right? But we are creating a rhythm. For example, for instance, it could be a pathway. All right, imagine a pathway like where there's an alternating grass and stone, like a pathway. You can just imagine, right? Stepping stones. So there's a grass, and then there's stone, there's grass, and then there's stone, and that is also called as a rhythm by opposition. For example, the use of checkered tiles is always classic. It's like a vintage look that never gets old, right? So I believe that is one of the reasons why black and white never gets old. Some designs, they come and go, right? But some designs, they stay classic, they stay vintage. Like, for example, the use of black and white, because black and white is still very much like, like something, even in architecture, even in fashion, some things come and go, like bell-bottom jeans or super tight pants, which are worn by men. They come and go, right? There are some things which always stays, like which we call as this classic look, vintage look, which always is appealing to. So most of this, if you look at them closely, they usually follow these principles of design that we talk about. All right, so it says rhythm created by direct placement of lines, shapes, or colors to create opposition through abrupt means sudden visual change, black and white suddenly. So rhythm by gradation is black, light gray, not so light gray, dark gray, and then darkest gray. So that is rhythm by gradation, but in opposition, it's direct opposite. So black, white, black, white, and the interchange of that. So that is rhythm by opposition. All right. Basically, putting the opposite elements in a pattern, that is cool. And we are still talking about rhythm. Rhythm is the main thing that we're talking about, right? So do you understand that? Is that understood? Okay. Nunpuyi Patswab, can you read this?
हमेशा लेट। ये क्या तू पढ़ के जहाँ चलेगी आज? ये देखो।
Using
कुछ आता नहीं है, ये कॉपी से देख के जहाँ चलाती है।
interesting and pleasing effect in your decor. Using colors opposite each other on the color grid is one example of oppositional rhythm. Complementary colors such as purple and yellow. For example, can
welcome to today's vlog. आज का vlog है How to Become a Pilot. So we're going to tell you everything because both of us are one of अपना एक्सपीरियंस शेयर करेंगे कि क्या क्या हमने प्रोसीजर्स लगाए, क्या क्या आपको करना पड़ेगा to become an airline pilot. अगर मैं पैसेंजर होता ना तो मैं इसके एयरक्राफ्ट में कभी ट्रैवल ना करता।
अभी बड़ा एक तो मैं रही हूँ।
नहीं मुझे लगता
है सिमुलेटर इनका है, लेकिन बड़ा मैं रही। मेरे 3 स्ट्राइप्स हैं, इनके 4 स्ट्राइप्स हैं, फिर भी बड़ा मैं ही नहीं रही हूँ।
Okay, thank you,
to
see if the first
so it's already
education level is up to the mark. But मैं वो क्यों कह रहा था कि मैं तेरे साथ कभी ट्रैवल नहीं करता, क्योंकि मुझे लगता है ये ऐसी कैप्टन है, इनका ध्यान तो मेकअप पे रहता है, जहाज चलाती होंगी।
बिल्कुल फिर 10 मिनट लगती हैं तैयार
It wouldn't
स्टेप
take so
नंबर
much
1
time anymore.
पहला
We are
कदम जो
at
आपने
slide
उठाना है
23.
आपको
We have
10th क्लास
51
में
slides.
सॉरी
We
10th
can,
और
I
12th
think we
में
can start
12th में
since it is an
10th
off-timing class. We
मुझे
can
सिखाओगे मेरे बाल कैसे हैं मुझे नहीं करना
complete
ब्लॉग यार
the
आपने
theory
12th
rhythm
क्लास में आपके पास
and physics.
फिजिक्स
We
और
can maybe
मैथ्स
take
होनी
it on
चाहिए
the
और
next class.
उसको
Is that
आपको
fine with
वेरिफिकेशन
everyone?
कराना अपने बोर्ड का
So
दूसरी
we're gonna
चीज जो
need
रिक्वायरमेंट
around
है
some
पायलट
10
बनने
more
की ये
minutes.
इंडिया के रिक्वायरमेंट्स आज हम सिर्फ इंडिया के
Is
रिक्वायरमेंट्स
that
बात
fine
करेंगे
with
सो आई होप
everyone?
कि जितनी भी जनता हमारी देख रही है
Yes,
वो
miss.
इंडिया
Yes,
की जनता
miss.
देख रही है
Okay.
Fine.
All right. So I think that is a very simple sentence. I believe I do not have to explain this slide. All right. So complementary colors I've already told you about. You can look at the color wheel after the class, and there's maybe for some of you are already aware of the color wheel, but it's created in such a way that the colors which are opposite to each other on the color wheel are called as complementary colors. There are many different kinds of. There are sub complementary colors as well, and all that. So again, we will look at it when we learn about colors. All right, so this is a simple explanation. I'm not going to explain this further. All right, so this is one example of the use of rhythm by opposition, the use of black and white, the mixture of black and white. There are no other prominent color that is to be seen on this. All right, so Siam Tluanga, can you read this rhythm by transition?
Principles of design, rhythm by transition. Rhythm created by curved lines that carry your eye across a straight surface. Window treatments that gently swag down create a soft rhythm by transition. Transition, allowing a design element, usually shaped, to move the eye in an uninterrupted flow from one spot to another.
Okay, this is a little tricky. Rhythm by transition. Transition means change. All right. Simply put, in a simple English definition, transition means change. All right. So how can we create a rhythm by transition in design? It is created by curved lines because it is a flow, right? Curved line, that is a flow. For example, if you look at the curtain over there, even if you look at it from the top or from the bottom, we have a small tapering end, a small end which slowly spreads out like that. All right, it's leading your eye in a very gentle manner. All right, when you look at the window, because your eye doesn't have to move to someplace else all of a sudden. So that's basically a rhythm by transition. It's not similar at the end like the other symmetry that we are talking about. There's always something similar, but here there's a change in the end. In the visual scene that we achieve at the end, there's a change, right? For example, in the curtain that we see over there, there's a change at the end, right? It's not as narrow as it was from the bottom. If we look at the curtain from the bottom to the top, so in the bottom it's much smaller, and on the top it's much wider. All right, so that means there's a change in the like transition, like we said, that is a change. So there's a change from the beginning look to the end look. All right, so that is this is rhythm by transition. All right, when we observe a change from the first look to the last look of a scene or something that we look at. All right, so that is rhythm by transition. All right, there's a change in the end from the start to the end. There's a change. It's not the same anymore, but we are being led on by a curved line. All right, to achieve to our end visual look. So that is rhythm by transition. All right, so it says allowing a design element, particularly shaped, to move the eye in an uninterrupted flow from one spot to another. So that is rhythm by transition. All right, is that clear? I think that I believe that is clear. So even in this, for example, let's look at this fish. This is the simplest example. You can look at all these pictures later on. All right, let's just look at this fish picture for example. So there's this fish that is let's say gray and with the black surroundings, and then there's this flow. It's slowly changing, and on the top it's not even a fish anymore, right? So basically. So see, the black parts are more prominent now. So the fish has turned into a duck, but we still see this flow over there, right? Slowly, we still see the slow change. There's no abrupt, there's no sudden change. We've talked about the rhythm by opposition. That is abrupt change, sudden change. But this is a slow change, particularly in the shape, as it's mentioned before. So this is a good example for a picture of a rhythm by transition. All right. Okay, even in this, we still have a flow, but it's way much more smaller at the end. But we are having this flow, which is not giving us any sudden discomfort visually. All right, so there's a slow change, and at the end, it's hardly even there anymore. But we are having a smooth journey. All right, of our vision. We are having a smooth visual journey as we move from the left bottom corner to the right upper corner. So there's a change at the end, right? It's not the same size, or maybe it's not the same triangle anymore. So this is rhythm by transition. Is that clear? Robert, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think we can stop it at that. All right, because it's already 8:10, and next time we will have a class at a normal time. So I will share you the slide till rhythm by transition. So we have so this is your assignment. Okay, all this will be marked for internal, so you have to take it very seriously. All right, so we learned about balance and rhythm. These are small topics, so we can finish this in the next class. So we've talked about, please write it down. You have to take a picture of anything in and around your house which has a symmetrical balance and asymmetrical balance. So 2 pictures so far, symmetrical. You all have your camera pictures. So we need one picture of your surrounding which has a symmetrical balance and which has asymmetrical balance. That is number 2. All right. And number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 would be this. Please copy this down. Rhythm by repetition, rhythm by gradation, rhythm by radiation, rhythm by opposition, and rhythm by transition. So please do not Google the pictures. All right. It has to be taken by you. It has to be something around you. It has to be something that you've taken a picture of by yourself. So 1, 2. So there will be 7 pictures will have to be composed in one file, and it'll have to be emailed. I'll share you my email ID. Is that clear? Any problem in the assignment given? Any confusion? So please compile it. Don't send like 7 pictures, okay? Send one file, one maybe PDF, which has 7 pictures in it. All right. Is that fine? So you are supposed to, so this has to be submitted by, say, before Tuesday, okay? So you can submit it till Monday midnight. Okay, so you have to take a picture, and you have to find a way to name the picture, all right? Because maybe I wouldn't know which picture is which. All right, so try to name all the pictures. Maybe you can name it on top of the picture. You can write it, scribble on top of the picture, or find a way to name. Don't just send random pictures. All right, and please don't send 7 separate pictures. There are many, even on the internet, you can compile it onto one file. All right, as maybe a PDF. All right, there's a website called ilovepdf.com. So there you can compile it. All right. Is that fine? Any problem?
No worries.
Okay. So you have to click these pictures, compile it. 7 pictures have to be submitted for an assignment. Please do not Google the pictures. All right. Just take it. Even if it's wrong, we will discuss about it. All right. So just take the picture as you understood. Is that fine? Okay. I think, yeah. Okay. We can dismiss the class for the day. Thank you, and I'll meet you on Tuesday. All right. Okay. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you.